What is up, guys? This is PVM Vertigo, and today you can see that we have a large stack of solid rocket boosters. Okay, well, we usually have a large stack of rocket boosters, but this time it's a lot taller. So yeah, we're going to go up into space. We have selected this flying Kerbal in orbit as our target, and we're going to try to rescue him for some extra cash. Okay, so this is our first orbital rendezvous of this series. There will be a lot more, considering that there are station missions and base missions and all that, so we may have to put together a space station in a few episodes from now. However, as of right now, we're floating on close to no funds. And with that said, we will have enough after rescuing this guy up in orbit, enough to send another block serve, because we need to go repay our debts at the moon. And then after that, we'll get 200,000 from that, and then after Duna, we'll get about 500 from that. So we'll be rich after we complete all the things that we do in this episode. And then hopefully we can get some upgrades. Not really sure, because upgrades are really expensive. They are like up in the 3 millions or so for some things. But nevertheless, all the things in this episode are vital to our space program. If the Duna mission fails, we'll have no science. If this mission fails, we won't be able to send a block serve. So it is of high importance that nothing fails in this episode. So anyway, back to the rocket. We are setting up a rendezvous here. We're on a lower orbit, so that means we're going to be going faster, and I'm just kind of tweaking it as best as I can. And I feel this approach is satisfactory, so we're just going to skip ahead to the point of intersection. So yeah, we're coming right up on the stranded Kerbal, and we're getting there pretty soon. So when we get to that intersection there, as you can see, we have the nav ball set to target speed. So if we do retrograde target speed, that'll cancel out our difference in velocities. So that means by the time I get to 0, we'll just be floating next to each other. Even if it's a kilometer away, they won't be going far away or coming closer at that high of a speed. So we're motionless, they're motionless, so I'm just going to point my nose at them and burn a little bit. And eventually, we get right on close to them, and I'm ready to switch to the Kerbal. His name is Gerard Kerman. So yeah, he's just going to use his EVA pack to just fly right on over there, because we do not need RCS to rendezvous if we have a target like this, one that can move. Stuff like space stations, well, you need RCS to dock and stuff, but we don't really have that technology yet. And that is also another reason why we're not funding a space station yet. So yeah, this Kerbal, not like Jebediah, he is extremely careful with his EVA maneuvering. And he realizes it's on the underside, so it's going to be kind of difficult for him to get in, but he'll do it anyway. He's just going to grab the ladder, get close, and there he goes. And he's going to board the rescue portion of this spacecraft, which happens to be the top, I guess. So yeah, we get into a standard descent here, and we're going to try to aim at the Kerbal Space Center. We're going to overshoot a little bit so we can land in the ocean, of course. But yeah, both Kerbals will be perfectly safe, and we will get the contract funds for rescuing these brave Kerbals. So now, of course, we are coming to an end of our Kerbal Space Center endeavors, and we can hop on right back to the Duna mission. And there it is, the mighty Ares spaceship, headed straight for the Red Planet. However, it's not directly at the Red Planet, so we are going to have to make a maneuver. So, in this case, we are going to make a little bit of a adjustment here, because we want to get as close to Duna as possible so we don't have to make any maneuvers when we get there. And we're so far away right now that it's just meters a second, like 1 or 2, to change like 1,000,000 kilometers, opposed to like 100 meters per second or 1,000 when we get there. So, long story short, we get out to the maneuver and burn. It was kind of hard a little bit. It took me like 1 or 2 minutes to get a good maneuver. And this one will take us fairly close to the planet. And yeah, I just need another correction maneuver to aerobrake. And I actually used aerobrake calculator for this, and it said I should burn it around 10,000 meters for the best aero brake, but I'm gonna set it to like 11,000 or 12,000 just to be safe. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just slowly getting to the point. I should have probably put SAS modules or RCS or something on this thing. It's not a very good turner. If you're wondering why I'm not burning at the maneuver node, is because it's actually more effective to burn before if you're doing normal and anti-normal burns. Or inclination for that matter. Prograde and retrograde are best done near the planet though. So yeah, we completed that maneuver. It took a few tries of going back and forth on normal and anti-normal to get a satisfactory Duna approach, and there it is. Our first look at an extraterrestrial body. And, well, it's the first time Kerbals actually see it either. Look at them, they're so excited. And we're getting close to the surface here. We're actually getting low at an alarming rate. Like 1,000 meters per second. Just downwards velocity. And, well, we have a bit of a re-entry burn here. And we may actually have to use the engine because we are kind of a little bit high up. But that's okay. And our trajectory is still interplanetary, so we will have to burn the engines. Like a lot. At this point I'm thinking I might only have to do a little bit, but it dawns on me that yeah, just gotta go full throttle on this thing. So eventually, long story short, I get into this quite eccentric orbit here. And I'm preparing my landing spot. I have this maneuver node set up here. And I am going to tweak it and set it so that we run right into the surface while still going through the atmosphere a little bit. So here it goes. Oh, overshot a little bit, but that's okay. We are on a good enough trajectory. And as you can see, we are on a trajectory going into the ground of Duna. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our parachute and enter. And the reason the parachute opened up this high is because I set it to a different height, because you can do that with tweakables now. And we have our engine burning as well, because Duna does not have a great atmosphere, as opposed to E, where you could just throw anything at it and then just put a parachute on and then boom, you just land. This, you can still crash even with multiple parachutes, but I only took one for this mission. And you can see I'm not really doing any science on this descent. I'm just gonna worry about the science on the ascent because I'm very focused on getting our velocity right so that we don't go smashing into the ground, which would be a very big inconvenience. So we're getting deathly close to the surface now. I'm angling my gimbal this way, and we're actually going to attach our actual lander. It is still 2.5 meters. It's got the small little poodle engine on the back of it. And we did bring legs, because if we don't have legs, we can tip over on Duna. Our parachute has deployed, so now we're slowing down with that. That was loud, because our stage crashed into the surface. And now we have enough time to actually do some science. So that's always good. I thought we wouldn't have time. Okay, so the surface textures have loaded, so that means we're pretty close now. I'm starting my slow burn now with the poodle engine. And the Kerbals are, well, they're very excited because this is the first ever landing on Duna by manned spacecraft or probe spacecraft, because we have never sent a probe here at all. We just want all that science. So we did a little hop there, kind of, but we're here anyway, and bam, Kerbals are on Duna. We're just going to do a little bit of science and transmit it back home. Extend the panels so that we can transmit it back home, otherwise we don't have any electricity. And, well, this is kind of like a small base here. And we are going to open up that. Get all the science out. This is just going to be like a huge science ship when it comes back home. And we are going to bring our scientist out so that he can evaluate all the data. I think the scientist boosts your science. I mean, that would be logical, but I would have to test it out to make sure. And he's... what? Well, we broke a panel there. Oh well. So this Kerbal is glorious. He's the first ever Kerbal on Duna. Footprints are now here and will be here for quite a long time. We may not come back for a long time. At least 1 to 2 years. Even if we were to launch tomorrow. And there's the flag. I'm going to type in our message here for all generations to see if we should ever come back here. And actually, this spot is pretty flat. If we ever make a base, we should try landing here, actually. So yeah, he decides that it's best if he just uses a jetpack to go right back up. We do not have any ladders because we have not researched the ladder technology. We're just going to go back in his pod and wait. Because they will be waiting there for quite some time due to the fact that they cannot leave until Kerbin is in the right position. That'll be a little while, and we might have to do that next episode or the episode after. So these guys are pretty much done with their mission. They earned us some money, so we can just move on to the next part. Okay, now you can see the block serve. If you've seen any of my other episodes, you know that that's the rocket that we send to the moon or Minmus, or any other place really in the Kerbin system. But now it has been upgraded, because now we have nuclear rocket engines, so that we're going to be using those instead. We might switch back to the smaller kind later because they are kind of expensive, and if we don't need them, we can probably just change back to them. However, we have them on this mission because this mission will take a lot of Delta V. Because I'm not that great at doing surveys on the moon, which is what we're going to be doing today at the moon. We're going to be repaying our old debts because we accepted a ton of surveys a few episodes ago to basically get a loan so that we could head off to Duna. And now we're going to repay them back by doing their work and then boosting even more funds. Sounds easy enough, right? No, it's not going to be that easy because surveys are not that easy because we have 2 visual surveys in the air. So that means we're going to have to fly at 2 different spots on the moon, and then there are 2 different EVA spots. But I feel like we can do it all in one mission since this block serve has a lot of Delta V due to those nuclear rockets. So we are just doing a little bit of an inclination change here because our launch was a little bit messed up. And after that, we're just going to head off to the moon. So of course, we set up a little maneuver node. We get our apoapsis planned out perfectly because it needs to be a low one because we can't waste any fuel because I have a feeling that this is going to be a very close mission due to the fact we have to visit 4 different places on one set of engines. Because if you remember, or if you can look at the left over there, these are the last engines we have to complete our mission. And they are already a quarter of the way empty, the fuel tanks there. But nevertheless, once we start losing some fuel, we'll have higher thrust to weight ratios, and in turn, more change in velocity per second. So yeah, we end up entering at a nice flat horizontal orbit, but it's kind of a curse even though it would be great in most accounts, but we actually need a higher inclination. We need to be polar. So what we're going to do is change the inclination right now. So long story short, we end up getting fairly close here. We still need to make more adjustments. And we're coming in a little high, so we have to adjust that as well. And I think we can actually get these 2 visual surveys in one try if we plan this out right. I'm going to go for the one on the right first, and then we'll head off to the one on the left. So yeah, we're coming up close to the first place, and boom, we're close enough. And well, we're gonna have to really hike it over now because, or hike it up now because we are plummeting straight towards the ground. We really need to change quickly, so we just need to burn normal. I think that's what it's called, normal. Upwards, because we need to get us more time before we change our direction to go to the other one. And now we're going to start burning towards the site. I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate here because we don't have enough time nor the fuel to spare. So I think I'm burning in the right direction, and yes, it is the right direction. In fact, we're really gonna have to do this because this is gonna be quite the fuel eater. Because this is a very long turn on the moon. And it's not very efficient if you really think about it. We're taking that entire orbit and changing its direction. But nevertheless, we are almost on course with it. And I'm just, if you see there, I'm just kind of burning a little bit up instead of right on the inclination change. That's bringing our impact zone past the visual survey. So that means that we will not hit the ground before we get the survey. So that means that we are basically in the clear. However, now I'm starting to burn retrograde so I can slow down because our EVA points are in the other direction, and I just want to get this slow down and get out of there. Because now the easy part's here. We don't have to do any more visual surveys, we just have to do EVA surveys. And if need be, we won't really need any fuel because we can just use the EVA packs on the Kerbals. And almost all of our horizontal velocity is cancelled out, so we can just put it all up into upwards motion. And once we have only upwards motion, we can set the zone as our target, which I think I will do here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh well, guess I didn't. I'm just going to get my apoapsis up so that we have enough time to get over there. Because the moon's gravity is a lot higher than that of other places like Minmus, where I usually do this. Makes it a lot harder to do. So yeah, now that we have enough upwards motion, I'm going to point it right at the little EVA sector. That'll change our impact zone to over there. And yeah, there it is. It's going to take quite the burn to get over there though, but that's okay. Because now as we're high up, we have a lot of time. All 4 nuclear engines burning their way, on low fuel by the way, to the EVA drop zone. Our orbit is slowly reaching over there, and I burned a little bit to that because I assumed that it would rotate, or the moon would rotate a little bit. And I just prepare for the entry burn to the EVA zone. Okay, so after floating a little bit in space, we end up getting close to the site. I'm just doing a little bit of landing sequence here, and the ship is shaking a lot due to the fact that those nuclear engines are so heavy. This is a very, very messy landing, and I don't have the Delta V to do that. And oh, yes, we've landed. Didn't think that a nuclear engine was going to make it there, but there are 4 of them. No way all of them could break it at once, could it? However, it actually turns out that when I get my Kerbal out, that we are not actually at the EVA point. We can do the thing, however. I don't really think we're at the point. So what we have to do is we're going to have to take a little bit of a hop. Tiny little bit of a hop over there. Just a little bit, and it should say we're entering any moment now. And yep, entered. What I was doing before is I thought that I might be able to take the Kerbal over there, but I didn't want to risk it. I thought it was further away, so we flew. Probably should have just used the Kerbal because that was a lot of fuel that we could have saved. So here we go, landing at the site Mark II. We are actually going up a little bit, and now we're going down. So we are doing another standard landing, but this time we are not going to fly out of control. We're going to keep this ship under control even though the nuclear engines are swaying just a little bit. But we have a much more controlled landing. And there it is. Coming down on the lunar landscape on a well, a little bit of a hill here. Nevertheless, this means science. Got a Kerbal right out to hop out so that he can survey the land for whatever company ordered this. I forget the name of it. And boom, money. But don't go away yet, because this episode is not over yet. We have to witness the journey of the Kerbal, because his ship is out of fuel and has no way to get to the other spot. So he has to fling himself through the lunar landscape to the next point. He's doing it at a very rapid pace, even though this is 4 times time acceleration, because this is a very long fly. Slide, I mean. Because, yeah, apparently the moon has low gravity, which equals less friction. And that's always not good for any Kerbals that are there. At least he didn't, you know, break any parts of his body. Could have been a lot worse. But he is going to recover, and he is back up. What he's going to actually do is fly right on back over more carefully. Because his first attempt was not that great. But anyway, here we go. There it is. All that money. And he ends up going back to his spacecraft. But even he knows that he can't do anything. He's pretty much stuck on the moon, and we'll have to rescue him later. So yeah, next on our list, we have to rescue this guy from the moon, all that science and stuff that's in his compartment here. We also need to fly the Kerbals back from Duna alive. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching this episode of Kerbal Space Program. This is episode 7, I think. Yeah, it's episode 7. Please subscribe for TF2 videos, DayZ videos, which I haven't uploaded a whole lot of. Probably should do that. Spore videos, which I have a series going on, and Portal 2 videos, which this series is coming to a close. Anyway, guys, stay tuned for the new Kerbal Space Program episodes, which will be coming out fairly soon. This is PVM Vertigo. Peace out.